I'm speechless. Trump's address just made me speechless. I don't know about you.
He called himself the president of Law and Order, or the Law and Order president. Either way, it ain't good for black folks. Black folks, if you're outside, I just put this on Twitter. Keep your top eye open if you know what that means.
Right. I'm trying to figure out if he was the Law and Order president, how come he couldn't order no PPE for everybody? And how come he couldn't figure out ways to pass no laws to keep all of us safe from this virus?
No, that's not his specialty. His specialty is making bad things worse. That's what he's really good at. If he's good at anything, it's making a worse situation, a bad situation worser, as my grandma used to say.
Worser. Absolutely. Well, this is our weekly tap-in. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I just am so appreciative to have y'all hanging out with us for one more Mask for the People effort. I just want you to share this video, share your Facebook page, post on Twitter. We're streaming live from Twitter, so go to Twitter and retweet the Mask for the People stream from the Twitter handle. There's a YouTube link as well. Let's share this. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to spend the first few moments, though, really trying to make sense of what we've all seen this week and this month. Go ahead. What's happening?
I'm just right now on CNN. It says Trump invokes 1807 law to mobilize U.S. military in the U.S. A law from 1807, a pre-free black people law. So that he can mobilize the military. Trump invokes 1807 law. I assume that means the year 1807 to mobilize the U.S. military in the U.S. In other words, to put the U.S. military on the streets as a policing force, which they're not supposed to be. There, as we know, the military is not supposed to be an arm of the police.
No way, bro.
I'm just reading at the lower third, so I can't. But he also said Trump says we're ending the riots and lawlessness. So, this is a no turning back moment as far as I'm concerned. We people want to get back to normal. There's no normal anymore. There's no, as bad as normal used to be. It's about to get way worse. And until our leaders, our political leaders, either get out of the way or stand up to this man. I mean, if you're a governor and he called you weak, you got to have a response for that other than I'm not weak. He's calling you weak during the middle of a pandemic he made worse and during the middle of protests all around the world that he made worse. So if you are a leader, it is time, a political leader who was elected, it's time to lead. I don't care what your party is. I don't care I don't care at all. I don't care at all. This is about, this man is driving America over a cliff. Are you going to try to pull the wheel out of his hands, or are you going to sit in the passenger seat and count your health benefits?
1807. 1807. This is where I wish we had researchers on.
I'm about to do what my wife hates. I'm about to be in a conversation on my phone Googling things. So, man,
I am stunned by that. And so does that mean he can deploy it everywhere? We don't know. I mean, we don't know who was alive in 1807 to know what this law means.
It's the Insurrection Act. So he's saying that people in the streets are insurrectionists.
Oh my gosh! I just got a text that said that our sheriff here in Alameda County has implemented a 5-day curfew. We're shelter in place curfew during a shelter in place. Bro, this is some straight up what's them red-headed woman show? What is that?
Handmaid's Tale? Yeah. What is that? I said this before. I mean, a lot of people said this, but I said this before the pandemic, before all this. If you've ever wondered what you would do during slavery, if you ever wondered what you would do during World War II when Hitler was coming to power, if you ever wondered what you would do during the fall of the British Empire, whatever, pick your era in history where the shit is hitting the fan. Now you know whatever you're doing now is what you're doing. That's what you would do then.
What? Why? So why do you think people are just still asleep? You think folks just can't believe this can get this bad on their watch?
I think there's a problem. A lot of this is that when you watch it on TV, it doesn't seem real. And so if you're not seeing this stuff in your neighborhood or hearing from your people about it the way we are, where it's like we know people who are on the front lines of this. You've been on the front lines of this, so you have experience with it. But for a lot of people, this is the best TV show they've ever seen. Game of Thrones is off the air. The Last Dance ain't airing anymore. And people are watching this, and they don't care if the season finale of this TV show is their own death. They don't care because this is good television, and they don't think it's coming to their doorstep. And that's how authoritarians get into power, because people just don't take it seriously. We all know the poem. When they came for this, when they came for this, and then they came for me. It's all happening right now. People, it goes down to the thing that we always talk about. People don't respect Black people's lives. And they think once they control the blacks, they'll sort of go, we won. No, they're coming for you, regular white folks. With your Peloton bikes and your yoga mats, they're coming for you. And
I think we're going to I'm going to start telling people come out. I think we have to do an extended. I'm going to stay on. I know you got to get your kids to bed, but I think we need to have some folks come on and help explain some of this to people, man.
And apparently I'll be on I have to leave because I do have to go. I'll be on Chris Cuomo's show. Good. So I've been on ABC News today. I was on Cron with Pam Moore last night because I do what Pam Moore tells me. Doing this, and then I'm going on Cuomo later because they just need as many all blacks on deck who can help explain this to people and help sort of speak to the urgency.
Well, part of what we've been trying to tell folks, that some of what we have to do in this moment is make a big radical claim. When I say radical, I'm not talking about like left, like crazy. I'm talking about like a big a claim, a demand that matches the complexity and seriousness of this moment. If we know that all of these uprisings, these protests that have turned into these kind of multi-city riots have all been sparked by police brutality against Black people. Every time there was an uprising like this in this country, it's in response to this. We know in 1968, the Kerner Commission put out a big old report that explained what the country should do. And the first thing it said, this is the United States government in 1968, it said, we must deal with the racism of white people to Negro Americans. That is the first top line of the 1968 Kerner Commission. And Lyndon B. Johnson, listen, he read the brief and put it in his drawer and said, I can do that. That's too radical. Then Obama put out a proposal. He couldn't get that implemented very far. And so we know that racism, the idea that if you are not white, then your life, your value, your knowledge, your wisdom, your contributions, they are not nearly as important and as valuable as those who are white. That human hierarchy, it is wicked. It is that which is tearing this country apart. And it is upon all of us. I know we're talking about mass for the people, but as we started off mass for the people, Kamal, you and me, we rightly pointed out that this was a response even to white supremacy then.
Yes. No, none of this.
It was all connected.
I mean, right now on TV, they're sweeping reporters away from the White House because the shit is hitting the fan. Like reporters are running from right now. CNN reporters, men in suits, are running from the White House because they're saying because it's tear gas fired at protesters near White House as Trump made statement. Active duty U.S. military forces nearby to bolster security. We all saw Tiananmen Square, those of us who were alive to see it, and thought, how could that? China, how would they? America would never. And it's
now Trump is walking out into the street like he's some dictator. Man, y'all, this is bananas. Are you watching this on CNN?
Yeah, I'm watching on CNN. Not just because it's my brand, but also it's.
He just walked out the White House. Where is he going?
I mean, he's going back to his bunker. I'm sure he ain't going nowhere. I mean, this is white folks who are watching right now, or people who know white folks. If you know white folks, tell them to turn on their TV. It ain't got to be CNN. Probably Fox News doesn't have this. Fox News probably has a baking contest right now. But turn on TV. Your local news, I'm sure, is covering it. And see this. This is real. This is not a Michael Bay movie. This is not the third act of the Avengers before Iron Man and the Captain America swoop in. This is real, and it's happening now. and it's gonna. Oh, he's walking out, and it's gonna happen more tomorrow. Where is he going? Trump is walking.
That's what I'm saying. I just saw that. He walked out into the street.
I think I'm behind. I think I rewound. I need to catch up. I'm 30 seconds behind the news right now. It means you're like 2 weeks behind. Oh, because he's going to go. He said he was going to go to the church. So this is all a press appearance. Right now, this man is doing. He's doing it for the gram. Basically, he is right now as American cities are in uproar. He's holding a Bible in front of the St. John Parish house for the gram, holding up a Bible. I'm surprised it's not burning him. He's holding. He's taking pictures right now.
While Rome is burning.
Barack Obama, I know you're watching.
Come on now.
It's time to suit up.
Come on. Now.
It's time to suit up, Barack. It's just. I know you're not the president anymore, but it is time. It's time to get. It's time to get the gear out of the closet, to get that tan suit and suit up and come out, because Joe Biden ain't leaving the basement.
I'm stunned. He is standing out in front of a church with a Bible.
Yeah. He's playing to his base right now.
This is Christo-fascism, bro. I know you don't know much about that because this is not my edge of the theological, but I'm telling you, bro, this is very dangerous, man. And
I think I get using the Bible to be fascist. Is that what that is? Using Christianity?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's when Christians attempt to use totalitarian government, further totalitarian aims under the government. And look at these people coming next to him, man.
Photo op. Like I said, they're doing it for the gram. They're no different than Instagram models right now.
Why don't they? None of them can say no. This is.
Oh, Kylie McEnany, who looks like, is this really a good idea, sir? With her. Look at these people. Look at Barr, the Attorney General's right there. Like, off like, is this really a good time to get a picture for the gram? They're doing it for the gram, the Billy Graham.
All right, bro. Let's get some of our guests on here for tonight.
And that's the thing. Only one mask between all these people. I saw just one mask. That ties us back to mask for the people. Since they're not people, they're not wearing masks.
I'm stunned, bro.
So I'll take a breath.
Oh man. We are in some perilous times. All right, here we go. We're so excited to welcome some amazing folks to the show tonight. We got the Syncopated Ladies. They're going to be here with us. And we have Lecrae that's going to be joining us a little later on to announce an amazing initiative we're doing together. So tonight it's going down in a big way. So we invite you to please share your screen, share this tweet, share everything. We're actually streaming right now live. We're streaming live on Twitter. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook. So share it, and let's ready to have a wonderful opportunity to hang out with some amazing folks. Let's bring in Chloe and Maud to our Mask for the People show. Let's bring in Chloe and Maud to our Mask for the People show. We're so
hey guys.
Are bringing on a day when we need it. Now, before you start, let me give you a quick introduction. Everybody knows who you are. Chloe and Maud are sister dancing, choreography, and producing duo. They have been literally trained by the amazing Debbie Allen, I was told, meaning that she hooked y'all up and saw that talent and just refined it, huh? Internationally recognized tap dancers, graduates of Columbia University in film. My goodness, Emmy Award nominated Chloe and Maud create opportunities to elevate, celebrate the art of tap dancing through film, TV, live events. Their work is to over 30 countries. And what's so dope about them, they're part of a bigger group called Syncopated Ladies. And I heard y'all go into prisons and y'all did a great performance with Kristen Ingram and the Justice Initiative. So welcome. Welcome to Master People. Say hello, say hello, say hello.
Hello. We are so thankful for you guys. First of all, what a time to be alive. And Today is a day. But we just want to say thank you so much for what you guys are doing for the people in a very, real, tangible way with the masks, but also providing information, knowledge, and laughs. Like, we need it because it's all so depressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one thing that we've been speaking about a lot is that depression is one of the #1 tools of the oppressor. And so when that's why, the hashtag Black Boy Joy was so valuable, because the essence of joy and hope and passion and unity are forms of protest and rebellion. So thank you guys for inciting that rebellion in us to be able to face these really, really hard times, but not let it defeat our spirits.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. And I have to say at this point, my wife is also, she's not a tap dancer, but she is a contemporary dancer. And so a lot of love for dance in the Bell household.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
Yes.
It means so much.
And tap dance and dance. But if we look at tap dance was created, was born out of a necessity for freedom by Black people here in America. The history of tap dance parallels directly the history of America, and tap dance's iconic people were the first activists. So if you think of like Bilbo Jangles Robinson, he literally changed the face of Black people in entertainment by demanding as a superstar that he not appear in blackface. And so he changed the film industry.
Wow.
And so, tap dancers have been revolutionaries from the beginning of time. And with Syncopated Ladies, we constantly are creating work to give voice to the people, and specifically as Black women, to unify our voices and make them be heard. Because in our art form, Black women have definitely contributed from the beginning of time, but not been acknowledged.
I'm happy to hear it. I got nothing to add.
Thank you.
Now, when you think about the power of art, when you think about the power of dance, and just the way in which your body is literally manipulating time and space to attempt to awaken the greatest parts of ourselves and others, can you just talk about the meaningful way in which you did that at the Folsom State Prison? I know you all were part of an amazing initiative, Play for Justice. Talk a little bit about that and what made you want to prioritize going into the jails and prisons and reminding folks inside that they are not erased or invisibilized.
Well, first of all, my sister and I are from DC when it was Chocolate City, when it was the murder capital of the United States. We, from friends and family, have been impacted by the prison system. We have friends that have been locked up. We have friends that have been murdered in prison. And so to us, they've always been human beings. They've always been our big brothers, our big cousins, our homies. And so when we got this opportunity from Kristen Ingram and Scott Budnick and Shaka Senghor, who's a great friend of ours, to go into Folsom State and bring our art there, we were like, hell yeah. No hell. That they're not forgotten. And one of the things that one of the men said to us after we performed, because we went and spoke to them, was, I felt free when you were dancing. I forgot where I was. And that was the greatest compliment we have ever received. First of all, we performed for about 700 or 800 men. Best audience ever. Most attentive, most respectful.
Yeah.
Most enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So this video, we performed at Folsom State, and then when we left, the feeling they inspired in us made us want to go literally to this mountaintop and dance for them. And so we intercut one of the performance pieces, Freedom, with our mountaintop to just unite these ideas of how we can transport ourselves to freedom. But it was one of the most transformative experiences because the world brainwashes us to think, lock them up, throw away the key.
Mhm.
Even if you have a friend or family member, you still isolate them to the person you know.
Yeah.
But when we went into Folsom State and there were 700 men and not 1 ounce of disrespect, the amount of respect, enthusiasm, love, support, genuine connection was, to me, the greatest form of humanity that I think I've ever felt. And what was incredible is the men that you see behind, they are actually incarcerated, but they were able to play on this basketball tournament. So as soon as they put the uniforms on of the basketball team, and they were being coached by the NBA Sacramento Kings, as soon as they put the uniform on, all of a sudden, they look exactly like your friends.
Yes.
Literally transported in that one, change of outfit. Right?
And they was balling. Let me tell you.
I didn't know who was NBA and who wasn't.
And it's so crazy because we spoke during our performance to the men, and we mentioned Debbie Allen, and one of the guys who was playing on the team came up afterwards and was like, yo, I used to play with her son. And it's such a reminder because we grew up with her son, and it's such a reminder, like, this could be any of us. Mm-hmm. And it's very humbling, and it reminds us, and especially now what's going on in the world today, like, we have to be so on point all the time, but we also have to continue to uplift each other and not forget. Like, we went to Ivy League. Amazing, great. But you think the cop out there cares about our Ivy League degree? No. You know what I mean?
No.
So I think, and then something else I wanted to add to what my sister was saying, and you kind of asked earlier, the reason why dance is so important, and you understand your wife is a dancer, is I think that when people enslave people, they of course enslave the body, they enslave the mind. And when you dance, you are in control. You are in control. And Pastor Mike, I know you know, we be praise dancing okay too, okay? You know,
I'm gonna have you come praise dance in my church when we go back outside.
And my friend is a member of your church, so hello.
Who's my friend?
Edaline.
Edaline Bobay. Oh, I got Edaline right now. I'm gonna tell Edaline we're gonna do an after-hour show. She got to come on and talk that talk.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Edaline, I know you're watching.
Oh, hey Edaline, hey girl.
Hey, girl.
So for us, dance is so important because it reminds us the power that we have over our own beings and our own spirits, and that's why what we do is so important with kids. Yes. Because we remind them that this is your voice.
Yes.
You are gifted, you are talented, and you can make people feel something, and you can move people.
So speaking on that, we have 3 incredible children, ages 6, and 9, in New York that are part of our youth company. And we had posted, in light of Black Lives Matter, we were posting our art that reflects the movement and how we feel. And then we get a message from them, from their mom, that said they felt it on their hearts to make a piece. And their piece is called Black Rage. It is a 6-year-old, a 6-year-old, and 9-year-old that self-choreographed a piece to speak on Black Lives Matter. And it is so powerful. And I tell you, when we shared it, I know that it moved the spirits of some people that might have not had that openness, but seeing children and when we're the situation, I know that the Black kids feel invisible. I know my value in the room to make them feel visible. And so every time we're dancing, we are fighting oppression. We know, as Black women, we know what it feels like to feel invisible. And through dance, our mission is to make kids feel visible, to feel powerful, to feel that like their voices matter.
And to give them the tools to be able to express themselves. So we have after school programs here in South LA and 2 in 2 favelas in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And since COVID,
because I'm thinking of moving out of the country down there.
Well, right now we love our Brazilians, but you don't want to go to Brazil because their president is BFFs with ours and is horrific.
Yeah.
Because also, not to go on a tangent, but there was just a 14-year-old boy in a favela murdered by police this week, like sitting in his house playing video games. You know, like it's the same thing in Brazil. And, you know, Brazil was abolished slavery after us. So they're behind in civil rights. They have no civil rights. Like, it's a mess. And that's why our program is so important there. Because these kids feel seen. They get tap shoes. For a lot of these kids, the tap shoes that we give them are their only pair of shoes. You know, it's like a whole nother perspective we're dealing with. We're sending them water right now during coronavirus.
Wow.
So, and it's like, we always tell people it's so much more than dance. We teach over 10,000 kids a year. Are most of them going to become professional dancers? Probably not, but they're going to be empowered. They're going to love themselves. They're going to know how to speak. They're going to know how to represent themselves. They're going to know not to back down to some BS. And that is all learned in the dance classes that we teach.
Well, I salute you both, because certainly we know that all of us have amazing gifts given to us by the Creator, and it is indeed a necessity to have people like yourself that can pull that stuff out of us, right? Pull that art, pull that ingenuity, that genius, and just I sad to say I wasn't even aware that tap dancing, you said, like, had that impact on film and things like. So imagine how art, we call them artivism, right? Imagine the power of being able to keep putting art out there. And honestly, if we are indeed entering into a pretty authoritarian, repressive moment, we're gonna need the arts. We're gonna need the griots. We're gonna need the dancers and the poets, the artists, music and paint to help cultivate our imagination for a world to come. Tell us how people can stay in touch with you all, follow you all, because we want all of our Masks for the People folks to support good people, because you guys supporting us, right? So tell us how.
First of all, like Ma said, thank you so much for having us. We support you 100%. Masks for the People is so important because, again, it's a reflection of equity, right? And it is counted.
And what you guys do is just so important. Our grandmother is alive and she's a Holocaust survivor. She survived Hitler. And things like this are so important because it reminds us, because back then they didn't have people with y'all's voices with these platforms combating that propaganda. So, and she tunes in, she's 97. She knows how to tune into the streaming. Okay.
Hey, Grandma.
We're starting a movement. It started with Represent Justice and Kristen and Scott Budnick called Dance for Justice. And so we're challenging dancers of all styles, and especially tap dancers, to tap for justice, dance for justice. Use your voice to beyond entertainment, even though we love entertainment, as a way to activate. And then also within that, don't just create a piece of art, but figure out how can you economically empower Black business, because that is an important part right now. Are you supporting Black dance studios, Black dance companies,
Black clothing, merchandise?
There's so many things in the world of dance that have just honestly not been supported. And then in your programming, do you have Black dancers? Are you making way for them? And so for us, this has been something we've always cared about. And right now, it's just shining a big is that we need to fix, because we got to fix our community. The racism that exists globally starts right in our communities.
Too much appropriation, not enough compensation.
So you can find us at
that sounds like another book.
ChloeandMaud.com.
Well,
all our stuff is
ChloeandMaud.com. ChloeandMaud.com.
Yes.
Chloe and Maud.
Is it A-N-D? M-A-U-D.
Yep. ChloeandMaud.com.
That's right.
All right. Well, everybody, let's appreciate Chloe and Maud. Put it in the chat.
Let's compensate, not appropriate. ChloeandMaud.com.
Yes. Y'all be blessed. Stay safe out there. Whoa, Brother Kamal Bell.
That was some hope in the middle of a time where I was not feeling hopeful. So I'm glad to see them on here and talk. I think it's important right now. The artists have to
Yes.
art to make things clear.
That's right. That's right. And we're gonna keep doing it. Listen, Masks for the People. We are in our literal 10th week, 11th week of providing free masks and free sanitizer for people in our neighborhoods, people in jails and prisons. This whole edition is really focused around jails and prisons. And so our work to make sure people have what they need so they can survive this pandemic of coronavirus. But now we have a new problem. And white supremacy has been the ultimate virus that has killed millions of people in this country. Now we have a president in charge who is literally attempting to stoke, it feels like, some kind of internal unraveling of our social fabric and social net. And so we got a lot of work to do, y'all, but we must survive. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense said like this: survival pending revolution. Survival pending revolution. So these masks, the sanitizer, keep donating, please keep giving. We're actually now mailing masks and sanitizer to Minneapolis. We're mailing them to some of the hot spots where the uprisings are happening. People are out there. They don't have masks. They don't have sanitizer. And they're out there mixing it up, letting their voice be heard. But it's about to be a big spike. We know it. It's going to be a big spike, a new spread of coronavirus infections because people are not socially distancing. It's just a terrible, terrible reality that we have to fight on so many fronts. So we're needing you to please, please, please keep donating, keep supporting Masks for the People. We just, come out. We can make a couple of hopeful announcements. We just got notification that Levi's is donating $100,000 to Masks for the People. Yes, $100,000 come from Levi's. And I don't think we announced it just yet, but it hit our account on Friday. Google has landed with $250,000 to support. Yes, man, support Masks for the People. So we raised quite an offering in the last few days. Somebody say amen.
Amen, somebody. That's all right. Woo, I think Google and the corporations, I think many of them are starting to realize if there's no people, you can't make any money. Like if you don't have, if the people cease to exist, then nobody's there to participate in your corporate activities. And a healthy populace is better for your corporate activities because the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, nice genes get pretty low on that list if people don't have food and health. So I appreciate the Levi's Corporation based here in the Bay Area. I'm sorry I keep getting distracted. There are literally people, regular folks in Philadelphia, standing about 6 feet away from full-on military police, full-on geared up for war, and regular folks, activists, are just standing there speaking to them. I don't know what they're saying, but I'm sure they're giving them what for and what 5 and what 6 and what 7. But right now it's happening in Philadelphia, or is this Los Angeles? I don't know. It's they're moving around a lot on CNN, but maybe it's DC. Well, going toe to toe. We'll see the pictures later.
I'm watching it too, man. This is terrifying. It's not something that any of us take great joy. We're trying to keep it a little light, just to laugh to keep from crying. But this is a turning point in our lifetime, certainly in our nation's most recent history. So telling all of y'all, please stay safe and stay home, protect yourself and don't put yourself in harm's way. We're going to have to go back to the drawing board, all of us who are leaders of any kind, folks who are activists and organizers. We need to really, really rethink what we're supposed to be doing in this moment and use every tool that we have at our disposal to begin, as Dr. King says, not a revolution of weapons and tanks, but a revolution of values. We need a moral revival in this country, and we don't need it now. I'm excited to bring our next guest on. This brother is he's one of the pioneers of just hip hop in a way. He's from I think he's from Memphis, Tennessee, and now he lives in Atlanta, Memphis or Nashville. But the amazing, award-winning, global icon Lecrae is in the building. And I'm just so excited to have this brother here. He has been just one of the greatest gifts to the culture. Let me just give you your due. I'm gonna read your bio too because I don't want no problems. This amazing loved one, Lecrae. You from Memphis or you from Nashville?
I lived in Memphis for
you lived in Memphis.
Yeah, I lived in Memphis. Originally, I'm from Texas, so.
Texas, man, I knew you because we had talked about this a little bit before. But this brother is amazingly moving the culture in a whole big manner, and we're so glad to have you here. Say hello to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Smile to keep yourself from crying, okay?
Yeah, man, that was kind of my approach. We gotta laugh to keep from crying out in these parts. But it's a real thing. Tell us a little bit about how things are going in Atlanta, man.
It is a unique time, is it not? Man, you know what? I am Atlanta is in many ways an example of what solidarity can be. But at the same time, you see the disruption and how it affects even one of the cities with even some of the most solidarity in the United States. And so, it's troubling. And I was telling somebody earlier today that, we have, a whole issue of systemic injustice and racism running rampant and showing its ugly face. And it's not as if that showed up and all of a sudden Corona disappeared. It's not as if that showed up and now all of a sudden the prison system is just and working like a well-oiled machine. And so, yeah, man, you get to see all of that in Atlanta. And Atlanta is a place where you definitely get to see some of the best and brightest trying to figure things out, specifically in the Black community.
I was going to say, like, I think you bring up a good point about the idea that, like, I think this really right now with what's going on in the streets, it's almost like people have forgot that COVID-19 is a thing.
Yes.
And the people and a lot of us who are in the streets, a lot of the people I see in the streets are our people.
Right.
Who are hit hardest by COVID-19.
Right.
So, I mean, I have a lot of, as much as I understand the want to go out there and the need to go out there and to be heard, I think there's going to be a double spike. There's going to be the spike that was happening because we were already starting to not social distance, and then the spike on top of that from going out to protest.
Yeah.
And, and as you said, it doesn't mean the hospitals are empty and saying Black people are all welcome. It's free for you guys as a part of reparations.
Right. Right. So that's some of the issue that I think we're wrestling with. And in the midst of it all, I guess, we're all trying to figure out how to play our part and figure out what our role is in the midst of it. You know what I mean?
What do you? That's a good point, because I feel that every day I'm like, what part of this? How much is it is retweeting? How much is it is donating? How much is it is trying to is connecting my friends behind the scenes? You need something. I know this person who has it. How much do I need to be out there on the streets? But I got 3 kids who are at home. I think how do you reconcile all that?
Yeah, I think one is you have to assess the circumstances. That's what I've had to do. I've had to assess what's really going on. I've had to understand my gifting and how, my unique wirings and giftings can be useful. And then, and even in light of that, I think is figuring out how to be proactive instead of reactive. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us are very reactive, to the situation. It's like there's so many different perspectives and vantage points and views. And, what do you do in light of everything that's going haywire and going crazy? And the knee-jerk reaction is just to react. But to me, this is like, to use a sports analogy, this is like a football game where the defense is set up to keep you from advancing. It's set up that way to keep you from advancing. And if you just react out of anger, you don't advance the ball just because you're madder than the defense is skilled. If they foul you and they get away with it and you foul them back, you're not going to get away with it. You're going to be penalized for fouling them in that capacity. And so you have to create an offense strategically designed to get past this defense that's set up for you to not advance whatsoever. So that's what I am trying to focus my energy on, is planning. What we're doing now is strategic. Most of the people incarcerated are people of color, are Black and brown brothers and sisters. And so this is us being strategic and saying, okay, how can we advance the ball in this particular area? And I think that's what we've got to do across the board. I'm all for the blackouts and the protesting, but the bus boycott, Montgomery bus boycott, lasted for 120 days. That was a plan. You know, it wasn't just like a post on social media.
It wasn't a tweet storm.
Right. Exactly.
That's one of our biggest challenges right now. We got a lot of, we call them Facebook warriors, social media warriors, right? But folks don't really want to get out and do this work. And so it's important for us to find our role and our place. Now, you are a deep person of faith. You've been shaped by this message of the good news of that dark-skinned Palestinian Jew from the hood called Nazareth. I think you know about that guy.
Right on. I do.
Talk about how that the power of faith has allowed you to take inspiring, life-transforming messages far outside the boundaries of buildings that we may call church or ministry, because you are everywhere. I mean, I look on your page, you'll be in Africa sometimes. Then you'll be hanging out at the Warrior games. Then you'll be down in the hood of LA racing cars. I'll be like, this bro look crazy. He's everywhere. Talk about though how that gift you got, it's opened up doors, and just you being authentic, because you don't compromise. You're the same everywhere.
Right, you got to be. I'm who I. So some of the backstory to that is, if you imagine the Western institutionalized church as a greenhouse, I was not raised in the greenhouse. I'm from the jungle, so I was raised out there in the jungle. Now I've come into the greenhouse to look around and see how things are done here, but I don't subscribe to this Western institutionalized perspective on faith and Christianity, so to speak. It's global, and it's not the propagated and co-opted faith as what we just saw on television,
live on TV.
Right, it's not that. And so it's the same thing that people try to do to an ethnic group, make them homogenized and co-opt them for whatever things that they want them to be about, and wield my blackness for your agenda. And it's the same thing with faith. And so for me, I want people to experience a relationship with God that informs your actions. So I'm cool with the vertical. The vertical is very necessary, but if it doesn't inform your horizontal, then what are we talking about? You know what I mean? If it doesn't provoke you to action. And so Harriet Tubman, a woman of faith, Frederick Douglass, a man of faith, Martin Luther King, a man of faith, provoked to action. You know what I mean? Like that. So this whole idea of, we're just going to sit back and post the scripture on social media and hold hands. It's like, no, that's great. But that's a co-opted different version. And so I want people to have hope, because if we're talking about the God of history, that's the same God that people had to hope in during Roman conquest, during slavery in Egypt. You know what I mean? But, God may have part of the Red Sea, but Moses still had to get busy. So we still got to get busy. Yeah,
you might kind of Jesus follower this guy right here, boy. I'm on churches full of this kind of guy who can make that stuff mix in. Listen, we don't got that much longer with you, but we wanted to really make sure we amplify this amazing new partnership. Now you have a project that is on its way out. called Restoration. Tell us the vision behind that, because then we're going to hook it up, you know what I'm saying, to the Mass for the People and make it all make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Restoration is simply that. You know, it's an album that over the last 4 years, I was driven to, in these tough times that we're in, and whatever tough times you're in, I don't care if you're incarcerated, maybe you experienced divorce or death or whatever it may be, systemic injustice, racism. You have to conserve your mental and emotional energy, because it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And if you give it all your emotional energy on the front end of it, you will burn out quick. And that's what I did. I burned out. And I just want to encourage people that if you burn out somewhere along the line, if you lost it, got depressed, ran into a brick wall, that restoration is really possible. And I was inspired by an inmate, Rashawn Thomas, who actually leads the podcast Ear Hustle, done in San Quentin. Yeah, he inspired me, because this man was telling me his story of how depressed and anxious he was when he first got to prison. And then he realized, I can't change my situation, but I can be changed in the midst of it. Got took some literacy classes, began writing, wrote for GQ, wrote for Vogue, now has a podcast and the first published newspaper distributed within the prison. And to me, that's a story of restoration. And now potentially he may be pardoned, and so or freed. And so to me, I'm saying there's still hope in the midst of it, and I want people to experience that reality. So
he was on my episode of United Shades of America. I'm glad I'm really glad to hear about it.
Yeah. So that's the album. A lot of great people on the album. BJ the Chicago Kid, John Legend.
He just name dropping. Just name dropping.
It's not name dropping.
They stopping on by. Come on, Lecrae.
No, man, it's a great project, and I'm excited. We need it. It's gonna be necessary. It's gonna be needed.
Absolutely. When is it drop? You got a single out right now, I think, right? Or
Set Me Free is out right now with YK Osiris. You can listen to that wherever music can be heard, and the album comes out later this summer. So,
all right, now to put the cap on this whole show and presentation, you have been working to go into the jails and prisons and help spread this message of restoration. We've been working to try to get PPE into jails and prisons. And so we coming together like Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior did, the Mega Power. We joined it together, and we are gonna partner to match every dollar that you raise.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
We gonna raise tonight. Starting tonight, Lecrae is launching a Mass for the People fundraiser. And we're going to provide free masks and sanitizer to the inmates at the Fulton County Jail. And Lecrae is going to be the champion for us bringing this into the jails. Talk to us about that.
There's a lot of them in the jail, too. And there's some more that just got put in there yesterday and the day before due to protest. So let's get these folks the masks, okay?
Yeah, man.
And then let's get them some bail.
Get them some bail. Yeah, for real. But yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity and just the privilege, and I want people to, match those funds, because a lot of people are like, what can I do? What can I do? This is a step in the direction of solidarity. This is a step in the direction of being proactive and tearing down some infrastructures and injustices in society. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited about that. The prison system is a big part of my situation. My father was incarcerated. My uncles, I still have cousins incarcerated, and I want the best for them, and I want them taken care of. So I'm very, very grateful, and this is a blessing. Appreciate it.
So we're inviting you to help us raise this money. You will find the donate link if you go to livefreeusa.org. We're going to have a special link there for Lecrae's particular fundraiser. And we're excited. We're going to match every dollar. Stay tuned to Lecrae's handle, because he's going to be tweeting that link out from here on out, and it's going to be amazing. We are going to raise and match, hopefully enough to get all the PPE for at least 2 or 3 weeks covered for every single member of the Fulton County Jail. And I just want to say thank you, bro, man. It's great to have this partnership with you.
I'm honored, man. It's a blessing. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, appreciate
you. Laughing out here. Come on, we need more laughter in this dark time.
I understand. It's a little hard right now, but I'm working on it.
Hey, it's a lot of pain. I know the comedy comes from the pain. Now you got some pain.
I got a lot to work with right now.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. It's a blessing.
Thanks for being here, man, and stay strong. We gonna keep rocking together. We gonna circle back and bring you back once we get a few weeks on our belt, just to give folks an update and make sure we report back, because we like to deliver on what we say we do. We ain't these bootleg. Someone called me a snake oil preacher. You just raise money and don't do nothing with it. I said I'm not that guy. Right. So we'll prove that every dollar that is given is matched, and the PP will be there. Thank you, Lecrae, for partnering with us, bro. Stay strong and make this brother go platinum, double gold. Which one is the best? It's like platinum, right?
We want diamond is what we're shooting for.
Diamond?
Help him out. Help him out.
I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Stay strong. Thanks again.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Wow. Here we are, Kamal. Woo.
Here we are. Now let me turn to the TV and see exactly here we are, because at the way it's going, I'm afraid to see my house on the TV. So,
Man, this is a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, right now they're talking about how the medical examiner, they got the police or somebody, the city examined George Floyd's body and said that it was his preconditions, his medical preconditions that led to his death. But now we have another medical examiner autopsy that says it's a homicide.
What? So, they got two doctors saying two different things?
The first, I don't know who it was. It was but the first medical examiner who was with the city said that it was his preconditions that led to his death. Like, he was not a healthy person. And it wasn't necessarily the fact that he was asphyxiated or choked by the cop. But now an independent medical examiner is saying that it absolutely was an independent. Floyd family calls for first-degree murder charges against police officer after independent autopsy. An independent autopsy said that it was absolutely from the cops standing on his neck or kneeling on his neck. So justice is not, even with this, something so clear that we all saw, justice is trying to, the criminal justice system is trying everything it can to protect those police officers.
And that's the crazy thing, is that all they got to do is convict the cops and send them to jail, and none of this will be happening.
Yeah, that's all they had to do with that's all they ever have to do, and as we all know, it very rarely happens. Even when a cop is convicted of something, like Johannes Messerly with Oscar Grant, he ended up getting basically time served for most of it, and he's free right now.
So this system, it functions in a way where it defends itself at all costs. And so part of why we got to keep doing everything we can to bear witness to the truth is we have to make this system work. I know we have some folk, and I depending on what day of the week, I'm one of these folks. It's like, man, can this country be redeemed? Can it be saved? Well, one of the ways, go ahead.
Let's just remember, if you're my age or older, there are countries that existed during your lifetime that do not exist anymore. There are borders of. We all grew up with a country called the Soviet Union, where the Soviet Union was a thing, and every time we went to the Olympics, we got our ass kicked by the Soviet Union. And at some point, all those independent territories broke off and said, "No, we want to be our own countries." My mom had a map of Africa that she had to keep changing with like tape and new labels because it was like it's not called this anymore. It's not called this anymore. So as much as we want to think the United States has been here forever and is going to be here forever, first of all, we're not that old of a country, and there's no guarantee that we will be here forever, especially under these circumstances. Or if we are here forever, Russia used to be a superpower. China used to not be a superpower. This stuff changes. I think we have to be aware of the history and how it moves, and we can't get caught up in like, well, we'll eventually get back to normal, or this is just a moment that we're moving through.
It's upon us, really. It's in our hands to determine the future of our country. And I'll say this election coming up then arguably is the most important election in the history of this country. because if we don't get not just Donald Trump out, but if we don't get the Senate, the House, all up and down the board, if we don't get our folks out here and voting and registered and did absentee ballots, we're going to be in trouble. And so this brings us to our final kind of group of folks that are joining us tonight. These are two of the most amazing women I've been blessed to be able to work with. They are just like authorities and legends in their own right. So let's bring in Andrea Haley of Vote.org and the great Leah Daughtry, co-founder of the Black Church PAC, Black Church Action Fund, co-founder and the founder of Power Rising. She's the bishop of the House of the Lord Church and all kind of other great titles. I'm so excited to have both of them here from Mass for the People. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
We good. So let me just read y'all's bios real quick because I want to give y'all all your props. Andrea Haley, she's a recognized leader of philanthropy and politics. Decades as one of the top experts on millennial attitudes about activism and civic engagement. She founded the Civic Engagement Fund, which was an amazing fund that put money on the ground, helped us to win all kinds of elections you ain't never heard of. Just made sure Black folks, underrepresented voters got to the polls. She's hosted a number of town halls, and most recently in this last winter, I believe she became the CEO of Vote.org, which is the online presence reaching literally millions of folks to help them register to vote, find out their voting status, etc. It's a nonpartisan C3 voting organization, so I want to say that on the top because I be saying all kind of partisan stuff, and I want you to know I'm speaking for myself and not for my sister. Hey, somebody say amen. And I'm glad to have the great Bishop Leah Daughtry. She is the head prelate of the House of the Lord Churches. She is an amazing, long-time leader in political processes. She was the only two-time CEO of the Democratic National Convention. There's a Black woman, y'all. Only time, two-time. That's some of that Black girl magic on fleek, yeah. And she one of the foremost folks who has been helping to shape and bring together women, Black women voters, Black church voters, and all kind of folks to be involved. So glad to have you both on. Andrea, just greet the people real quick and say hello. You gotta unmute yourself.
That's the saying of the day. Unmute yourself. Hello, happy to see everyone. Thank you for having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, glad to have you, Bishop. Say hello to the people.
Hey y'all, how you doing? I'm glad to be here. Always good to be in partnership and conversation with my brothers and my sister, and looking forward to this time together.
Yes, indeed. Now, you both are, I know because I know you are both political junkies. And so I'm going to ask you to take all your other titles off for the moment. I know you've been watching this craziness that's been happening on the news in the last 30 minutes. I mean, what do you both think? Me and Kamal been over here just trying to focus on being somewhat professional, but this is
not me.
I mean,
you know, it is frightening. I have been watching. I have one eye on you and one eye on the screen here. It is absolutely frightening that what this president is doing is a pure political move. Let's not even talk about the racism of the whole thing, but it's a pure political move to establish himself as the law and order president, who's going to protect all the scared white folk from the Negroes and protect their property too. And this is a political play because he's looking to rev up his base and rev up the scared white folk so that he can cakewalk into the White House this fall. And for those of us who are even halfway religious, the co-opting of the church as a backdrop and the holding of our holy sacred text as a prop for this photo op, for which he mowed down protesters, shot rubber bullets, and tear gas people, is an absolute blasphemy.
Yeah.
For those of us of faith, not even getting to, just people of goodwill. It's a travesty, and we need to pay attention. For all the folk who saying voting doesn't matter right now, you better learn how to walk and chew gum at the same time. You better vote, fill out that census, and get yourself in the street if you can, if you're able, if you're not immunocompromised. But we need to be, we know how as Black people to walk and chew gum at the same time. That's the only way we've survived in this country. So it's not an either or proposition. It's a both end.
Preach. And I don't appreciate you calling me out by calling me halfway religious in front of all these religious folks.
Now you just told on your own self.
He's an honorary. He's a member of the Way.
Okay.
Yeah, I vote absentee at the Way, but I vote.
We take it any way we can get it.
And I think we have to shut down the idea that this is an argument. I love what you just said about it's not an either or, it's an and. So got to vote. We know that that's how you elect judges. That's how you elect prosecutors. It's how you elect mayors that do the right thing. Like this is the time to absolutely engage. I think that one of the things that I try to do is there's a lot of nonsense that's going to happen between now and the next 154 days and 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 16 seconds we have until Election Day. And so I think we have to keep focused on what can we build, what can we create, what can we do. And every time I get despondent or every time I get distracted, I go back to what can I build, create, or do. And because there are certain things that are within my wheelhouse at vote.org that I'm responsible for every day. There's certain things that are going to be, your wheelhouse, Pastor Mike, certain things that are going to be in Bishop Leah's wheelhouse. And we all have this role to play in the moment. And it's really easy to get distracted, because if I watch the news, I turn it on my TV in the morning, I could watch that all day long. There's something every 30 minutes, there's something new, something distracting, something crazy. And so then it's really, how do we focus on what we're building, creating, and doing?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much righteous responses, strategic responses that we have to be thoughtful about employing in the short term, the midterm, and the long term, because the shock of this moment is going to dissipate, and we're going to be left with a reality that's going to require a level of organizing, collaboration, and partnership we've not seen before. And so the Black Church Action Fund, which is a collection of Black faith leaders, Black church faith leaders that myself and Leah Daughtry and Tracy Blackman and Bishop Frank Reed and Jamal Bryant and Erica Campbell, a bunch of us pulled this together because we knew that we had to be a part of getting Black church folks to vote. Bishop, talk a little bit about the importance of why our particular formation came together. And then, Andrea, I'd love for you to just share about the partnership we just forged to help us leverage Black church voters into some voter engagement work.
Absolutely. The Black church has its foundation and its roots in our people's oppression. It started during the days of slavery when we had to create our own means of worshiping away from the prying slave master's eyes. And because it is the free institution, and it's probably the last free institution that Black America has, we don't owe anybody, we unbossed, we unbought, we can do what we want to. We have always been a platform out of which leaders have sprung and out of which political movements have sprung. So I think it's really important that we continue that thread and tradition, and by bringing these Black church leaders together, we understand the power that resides in our pulpits and that resides in our pews, activating those people who tend to be leaders in their own right, in their households, in their block, in their building, in their neighborhood, in their communities, and bringing them together and say, okay, we're going to activate our power. We're not going to be passive. We're not going to let things happen to us. We're going to dictate what happens to us. And so we come together to leverage our collective power to push all the buttons we can to activate Black church folks, helping them connect their faith to their civics and acting upon their civics in a way that really reflects their understanding of the gospel of Jesus Christ and what we are trying to do in this nation, and bringing those values of grace and mercy and justice to the fore. So that's why we're together.
And say a quick word about Power Rising too, because we know that the biggest, most consistent base of the Democratic Party are Black women, and the biggest, most significant institution for Black women is the Black church. So
That's right. We created Power Rising in 2018, post the election, to really as a response to Donald Trump and us trying to figure out what can we do as Black women. We are the largest and most consistent voting bloc in the Democratic Party. 77% of Black women are registered to vote, and we do vote. So we wanted to come together, bring sisters together from all across the country. And we brought together about 1,500 women from 40 states to sit together, to learn together, to mobilize together, and to organize together. So we're really excited about that. And that's part of the network that we'll be activating and working with vote.org to make sure folks have the tools that they need to organize in their communities and ensure that people get to vote.
So talk to us, Andrea. You have one of the most premier vote.org organizations. Give us a quick sense of what that is y'all's reaching. Let's warm up and let's get this announcement out here even further.
Vote.org, we're currently the largest online digital registration and get out the vote platform in the country. We try to lower the barriers to voting through digital engagement and any other tactics we can. Actually, we're tactic agnostic, but we're a tech platform. So this year we have, you can go to vote.org, you can verify your registration status, you can register to vote, you can request your absentee ballot, which is really important in this vote by mail year. And so those are all tools that we hope people will go to and use on the site. And then we're teaming up. We've already had over 500,000 people that we've registered at vote.org this year, and actually a little over that have requested their absentee through our site. And we're all teaming up here to launch one of the largest efforts of Black faith voters I'm excited to be the tech, platform that can help surface the data. I think that a lot of times we don't always have, people will run programs in the Black community and not always give access to all the data on the back end. And so I'm very excited because this is going to be one of the first all Black led efforts that incorporates this tech and data piece on the back end as well. And so I'm real thrilled about the work we're about to do. Everyone knows online voter registration has been down all across the country during this time of COVID with the pandemic hitting. So the ability to be in all 50 states and to have a digital way of engaging in this moment and making sure everyone still gets their voice heard and that people don't have to choose between their health and their democracy. That's what I'm excited to get going here and excited to work in partnership on.
So it is indeed the case. Vote.org, Black Church Action Fund, and Render. And I regret I didn't send the link to Dr. Biko Baker to be on to talk about the Rocks.online platform that's hosting this for us. So I'm gonna have to bring him back on, and maybe you too, Andrea, and we'll talk a little bit about how the thing all works on a night in the literal country falling under the shadow of the emperor in Star Wars. I don't know, but it's a necessary partnership. Everyone who is a part of the Black Church, we are going to be pushing out a major effort to get us all linked up and connected. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, afternoon, depending on what part of the country you live in, at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to be hosting a special gathering for clergy under the age of 50. Black church clergy under the age of 50. We're going to be pulling everybody into a conversation. Bishop, we have you said several hundred people that have already RSVP'd?
Just about.
And so we if you are under the age of 50 and you are a faith leader in the Black church, we want to pull you together because we want to start getting us information to use these tools. But even as important, if not more so, how do we respond as people of faith to this immediate threat of COVID, of the police brutality, and now of this particularly disturbing overreach of this Christo-fascist leader that we have in the White House. And so join us tomorrow and let's link up together. I'm so grateful for both of you coming on. We'll have you both back on another night and maybe spend the whole time talking about voting and getting us all information. But appreciate y'all for dropping by and giving us this quick update.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. God bless y'all. God bless y'all. Kamau, I know you got to jump. You got to run to go do the Chris Cuomo show in a little while. But man, what's some final thoughts about tonight, man? This is disturbing. And I think on MSNBC, I just see they brought Valerie Jarrett on. They starting to bring out the heavy hitters now because this is a line that's been crossed.
Yeah, I think that there's the thing I would like people most to feel is like this is a historical moment. This is not more of the same. This is not a thing we're going to move through. Again, it's happening in the middle of a global pandemic that a lot of countries have figured out COVID-19, or at least have gotten ahead of it. You know, New Zealand just had its last case of it that they currently have active. So we are currently leading the country, leading the nation, the world in this. We're not getting better with COVID-19 and with the reaction of George Floyd and our president, as she said, a photo op using rubber bullets so he can have a photo op. So this is a historical moment. It is time to really look at the privileges you have, especially those of us who have a lot of privileges, and especially white folks who have the privilege of skin, and figure out what you can do to get us out of this moment or to make it better on those around you.
Yeah, I mean, what's so challenging about all of this, man, is I think because so many of our folks are ahistorical, they don't read, this stuff just goes. I mean, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but folks just don't believe this could happen in our country.
I feel like a lot of people's life is hard enough that they gotta figure out how to pay rent, how to take care of their kids, how to get through the day, how to avoid the potholes, and I mean the metaphysical potholes of life, and just get home at the end of the day. And also they're figuring out the COVID-19. So I get how not everybody's clued into the same history. Not everybody had a mom like mine who made me watch Eyes on the Prize and Roots, and took me to see The Color Purple and A Soldier Story, and took me to see Alice Walker's book. Took me to an Alice Walker book signing and stuff when I was like, who is this lady? This is boring. Not everybody had that kind of the benefit of my mom. If they did it, the world would be different. So if you are here because you trust one of us, trust what we're saying now.
Please. I mean, and understand that it's going to now require all of us to push back on this. Like this is a clear and present danger. I just cannot believe that he walked out of the White House with the military, Secret Service parading down Washington Square like he's trying to reclaim some territory. Mm-hmm. Take a picture in front of a church.
Yeah, a church that he wouldn't go to in any other circumstance. I would like somebody to produce an image of Donald Trump at a church when it wasn't a wedding or a funeral. I would like anybody to reproduce a photo of him at a church when he wasn't there for selfish reasons.
Man, bro, I'm
telling you, there's photos of me, most of them when I was a child, but I know I got the photos.
Yeah, I mean, so what you suggest, man? Like, what are some things people can do? I mean, I know what we're trying to do. I mean, we're getting ready to roll out this initiative where we want to start gathering consensus that if you are a racist, you cannot be a cop.
Yes. Yeah.
And right now, we don't even have that consensus all across the country. There are people that feel like it don't matter if you're a racist or not. As soon as I put on this magical uniform, all my racism and my bias, it just goes away. Yeah. That don't seem to work for cooks. It don't seem to work for male. I mean, like, come on, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I find myself, and I know you're in the position too, where especially white folks are reaching out to us and saying like, what can I do? And I feel like right now, I'm like the person who has to go, we're not all in the position, but I feel like it's my job to be in the position of like, figure out some of those resources. And I'm also going to what I call the white people, the heads of white that I trust to say, who have already done this work, like Kate Schatz, who wrote the book Rad American Women A to Z, who is more than an ally. She's a co-conspirator. And she created sister districts and Solidarity Sundays. And so I don't Solidarity Sundays. I don't know about sister districts, but she is like has these resources, and I feel like it is now my job to get those resources out there, just so I don't have to do the work, but I can go, white folks, this is where you go, because I think some people aren't going to go to the streets, and I don't blame them right now. But I feel like there's a host of. I mean, I think if you're a registered voter, if you just register to vote, the people in your neighborhood who aren't registered to vote, you can text them. You know what I mean? Like if you just from the online voting registration link, and you can get them to commit to doing it and screenshot when they have registered. That's something. It ain't everything, but it's something.
It's something.
And get people in your life who are registered to commit to voting. You know, just say, hey, I know you don't, because we all know a lot of people who are registered but don't vote. That and get them to, in California, we can vote. We can all register absentee, which is what I've done. So it's the time to. So I think that there's any number of things. Voting is not the only thing, but that's one way. But I think we have to really look at how can we help? And there's more than one way.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I want every single person who's watching to call your mayor tomorrow, call your police chief, call the president of your police union and the sheriff, and ask them this simple question: can you be a racist and be a cop? Make them give you a yes or no question. Can you be a racist and can you be a cop? And I'm telling you, they better tell you you can't be a racist and be a cop in my city, in my department. And then ask them a series of other questions. Do any of our police officers have associations with neo-Nazis, alt-right members, white supremacist groups? If we audited every single one of these police-issued phones and email addresses and locker rooms, will we find the swastikas and racial epithets? If we scrub their social media, are they going to the barbecues and going on road trips with white supremacists and the Proud Boys and neo-Nazis and the alt-right? And if any of that stuff is happening in your city's police department, it is on us to get those races out of our police departments. How can we dare say we're trying to end police brutality that is racialized, and we can't even agree that if you are a racist, you can't be a cop?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's time for us to start demanding that we get the kind of leadership from people who keep saying they're our friends. They say they are champions, and they can't even make a public commitment to not have a racist be a cop, a racist be a correctional officer, a racist be a sheriff. Shame on us. Shame on us.
I think one of the things we saw come out in Minneapolis is her name was Andrea or Andrea. I think she sang Amazing Grace. She was like a public official there. And she sang Amazing Grace and talked about racism as a public health crisis.
Yes.
What this country hasn't done, that other countries have done, has actually quantified what racism is and have made racism illegal, have made racism, have sort of said you can't be a racist in public or else you can suffer consequences. America's never wanted to do that because America always knew, well, then how could we be America without racism? So I think racism has to have consequences. It needs to be it needs to be quantified, and there needs to be statutes and policies that identify it so that if you do A, B, or C, the same way we know if you jaywalk, we know that's jaywalking. You can do the same thing with racism.
Right.
Same thing with racism. But America doesn't want to do that because, like I said, America's like, well, then I don't really feel like America if I can't be racist. So we have to quantify what racism is so that it's not up to everybody's individual opinion, which right now it's basically because you'll say, I just posted a thing online on Twitter of a white guy in full military gear, not a member of the military, but wearing the gear because you can buy it from the Army surplus store with a rifle held with the rifle clearly displayed. I think wherever it wasn't in an open carry state where people were saying on Twitter. And he walked up to the cops, talked to them for a second, and they were clearly like, no, like get out of here. And he walked away. Meanwhile, last night in Atlanta, those two people got tased. Two black folks got tased in the car for nothing. Window broken
for nothing.
You got to replace your window. You got to be tased. You got to get a lawyer. You're like now involved in the criminal justice system for nothing. This white man walked up in full military dress-up gear, and they just sort of said, "Not right now, sir. We don't need you right now.
Not right now. Not right now.
Look,
I'll see you at the bar. Look, I'll see you at the bar later tonight. We can.
Yeah. You know, so
both.
to me, I was like, that's clearly racism right there in action. And people are like, well, you know, actually, you know, he looks like he's military, so they probably knew him, who he knew him, and were familiar with his work. And so it's but no, black people don't get that benefit of the doubt.
No, and no one
should get the benefit of the doubt if we're jogging. Right,
jogging. If you're watching birds in the park, they'll call the police on you. I mean, how crazy is watching some birds, bro? You got to be one of the. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I just know this.
You know, as everybody knows, my wife is white, and I spent the whole day looking at her like, "That's yours." She's with you. She's with you. You go gather her and her kind. That's on you.
Go show people
brunette white ladies is your department.
Well, listen. We gonna sign off, man. I just want to appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. We'll let you know what the next steps are. Follow us and keep donating. Masks for the people. Help us keep raising the resources we need. But more than anything, y'all, as Kamal said, don't forget tonight. This was a historic shift in the history of our country. We have a diabolical maniac who is in office, and he just made a move today. He invoked the 1807 Insurrection Act to give him the ability to send the military into our communities. And I just posted this maybe a week and a half or so ago that I feared this is what they were angling for all along. I hate that I was right. I know it sounded crazy to me when I posted it, and other people like, McBride, you're an alarmist. Listen, we have someone in the White House who does not mean us any good. He manipulates people of faith, particularly evangelical Christians, to think that he is your champion. He is not your friend. He is a wicked leader. He is a wicked man. He is Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel. He is the king that would put all of God's people in a lion's den, in a fiery furnace. But I want you to know this one thing. One day, the people woke up one day and saw Nebuchadnezzar on all four legs eating grass on the lawn of his castle. And I believe that the mind of this wicked leader is going to be snatched. And we're going to wake up one day and it will be proven to everybody how crazy he is. And when he is revealed, I hope all of you folk out there will do what is necessary to remove this person from having any kind of authority over our lives. It is up to you. It is not up to your mama, your parents, God bless them. They lived through this era. It is up to us, and shame on us if we let this wicked man bring all of this tumult upon us as a people. We must get involved. We must turn off our Twitters, turn off your Facebook, turn off your Snapchat, turn off your Instagram, read a book, get a strategy, find somebody who's a revolutionary, who loves what you love, and let's organize together and defeat this wickedness that has unveiled itself before our eyes. It is your responsibility to defeat this evil. We got to do it together. So, Mass for the People, we signing off. This is only one way that we're trying to beat this evil, but now we got to ramp it up. Love you all. Thank you, Kamal. Go give it to him. Give it to him like we say. Give it to him like the Bible say on Cuomo's show. Tell him the truth.
I'll do that.
Tell Cuomo he got to repent too and come on and get on the winning side.
That's right.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. Thank y'all.
All right.